Hi there, it's David, I'm the Resourceful Coach, and we're going to talk a little bit about today is a thing in the golf swing called the angle of attack. And this basically means what is the club doing as it arrives at the ball. And it will generally be hitting down on the ball or you'll be hitting up on the ball. We're going to focus very much on your iron play today, because what I see a lot with golfers is this idea that they need to encourage the golf ball up into the air. So when they set up to the ball or they swing the club, there's a feeling that the club is actually on the way up. And what they end up doing then is either topping or thinning the golf ball, or they may take a divot from behind the golf ball. And in all those three cases, you're generally, if it's a full shot for say a 7-iron or longer, you're going to be losing power, especially if you're hitting the ground. But then unfortunately, if you're hitting a wedge into the green and you thin it, it could create more power than you want and end up going too far. So it's really important to understand that. And what we've done, we've got launch monitor here that we're going to pick up some data, going to get some ideas from and explain that as we go along. And I'm also deliberately playing my shots off an area where I haven't quite seeded it yet, but we've put some sand down here. And if I get it wrong, it will really highlight the fault. And I'm a big believer is that if you can make your practice harder than it really is, if you are able to practice on grass practice grounds and it's a good facility, what you may find is that it is quite a sand-based facility, and a lot of golf courses now, their fairways are like that. You've got to get the strike correct. Okay, so this is what we're talking about today, the angle of attack, how important that is and what you're looking to do. So we'll explain some faults, and then we'll explain how we can put that right and understand what we need to achieve. So if you are a golfer who has that sort of mental picture that you've got to get the ball up in the air, we need to change that. That for me is the biggest error. So I see a lot of golfers, biggest thing they do with their irons when they're looking to get the ball up in the air is they may put the ball forward in their stance, they'll lean back, and now as they come into the shot, they're trying to sort of help the ball up. And in that situation, most common shot is we probably thin it along the ground and we don't get a result. Okay, and just to again, we'll put this data up on the screen. And on that occasion, I've hit nearly 9 degrees up on the ball. I've hit 8.9 degrees up on the golf ball. And that's why I topped the ball. Okay, that's why I didn't get a result from the shot as we went through. And hopefully what you could see on the video there is I've put that ball forward. I've leant back. All of these really bad things that people tend to do to think, well, that will get the ball up in the air. But the golf club is designed to do that for you. I think that's the most important thing. So we need to get your mind around, getting out of that fix. So if you are a golfer thinking, I've got to get it up, we need to move the ball a little bit closer to the middle of your stance rather than playing off your front foot, because naturally the swing wants to bottom out in the middle of your body, sort of in line with your sternum, pretty much where my microphone is. It wants to sort of bottom out there. So if you put your sternum, I'll put the microphone behind the ball, the low point is here, so I could hit the ground, or I'm now on the way up, I'm going to thin or top it. Okay, so if you just think about move the sternum, move the middle of your chest, if you've got like a zip on your top or buttons on your top, put that more in line with the golf ball. Okay, and just do a few little swings, don't have to be full swings, and just get the sensation you're from there. And what we've got to do is when we get that ball airborne, is we want to strike the ball. If we do happen to take a divot, we want to take the divot after the golf ball. So what you're doing is you're maximizing full energy into the ball because you're getting clean contact on the ball. And then the club is continuing to descend down. The ball now is going to be struck by the face of the club. The grooves are going to create backspin. It's all good for you. Okay, that's what we're looking to do. So in ball position, that's the first thing that we're looking at there. Okay, now you may have a good ball position, but you still might be this player who thinks I've got to help the ball up. And they get the weight transferring into the wrong position. So we end up in a position here, playing the shot, we swing back, looks good, and then we lean back, and now we sort of hit the ground behind. And on the computer, no, I did pick it up. You could see the sand coming up from behind the ball. It's really clunky, horrible sound. And I've hit up by 6.8 degrees there. So the low point was way behind the ball. And now I'm hitting more up on the ball again. And on that occasion, because I've leant back so far, the golf ball has gone left of where I wanted to go. And the reason for that is as I lean back, let's just turn this way, as I lean back and go onto that back foot, look how my shoulders start to open. So you can see how that would drag the club that way. So we need to get rid of those two thoughts. If there is any thought of putting the ball forward to help it go up or leaning back to help the ball go up, you're going to have very inconsistent results. And that's what we're looking at. I'm not saying you won't get the odd good result, but the chances are you haven't done those things. You've ended up where I want you to be when you get it right. So here's the mental picture that we want. The golf club is going to do it for you. You've got to have that mental picture that the club is striking down, and then the loft of the club, the angle on the face of the club, that's what's going to make the ball go up in the air. And if you've watched some of my other videos, we talk about the sensation of always thinking about moving the ball forwards. I do one on chipping. Please go and look at it. And the idea is you want to keep the golf ball going forwards, and whatever club you've chosen, that's the loft that you're going to get. That's the important thing to understand as you go through the shot. So let's do the two things now correctly. So I'm going to put the ball back in the center, but what I'm going to think of now is as I've got to here, I want to feel just a nice balanced position. When I finish the shot, I'm going to finish much more on my left side. Okay? And it's a bit like throwing a ball. If you threw a ball, your weight would go through. Wouldn't be this sensation that you're suddenly doing this with your body. You'd just be nice and balanced. So just to start with, do a couple of practice swings. And what I've got here, I can draw a line a little bit in the sand, and I can do a little swing. And I want to see the club brushing the grass just after that line. Now, if I can do that with the golf swing, let's see what we get with the ball. We want to see a negative number on the computer. That would be nice. So there, through, strike was good. Now I've gone from, as we said, nearly 6 degrees, 7 degrees up. I've now hit 5 degrees down on the golf ball, okay? And because of that, I've got the ball first, and now the low point is after the ball. If we put another ball where it was there. My divot as it goes through is all here, after the ball, okay? We've done lots of videos. We did a video about ball striking, and we used a special mat to show you where I was striking the ball. Again, go and look at that video. It's all about talking about this. We're just giving you some data that if you go down the practice ground and you've got facilities that give you angle of attack, you want to see a number that is a negative number when you're hitting an iron off the ground. That's the important thing to understand, okay? If you watch my video on driving, we want a slight upward number. But the idea is, if you think about it logically, with a driver, we want to reduce the spin because we want the ball to go as far as possible. When we're hitting an iron, we want to create a little bit more backspin, which is this angle of attack will do, so we can stop it on the green. Okay, so let's just look at that again on the video. So I've got my microphone in line with the ball. That's my first thing. I get that, feels then consistency to that, so I'm not tilting my body or trying to do anything. That feels like the ball is pretty central in my stance. And then all I'm thinking about from there, so where we're going down the range, I'm just going to feel nice and balanced. What I've got to achieve as I come down, I want to feel the handle of the golf club is favouring the front of the golf ball when I reach the ball. And then what's going to happen is the low point is when the head catches up to the handle, which would be after the ball. And if I do that, I'm going to get a negative number. Okay? That's the key thing that we're looking for. Don't force it down, because that's where you'll get inconsistency of hitting the ground here and in different places. You've set your body up to give you the low point, the microphone position. And if I'm nice and balanced, let's see what we can get this time. I'm quite happy around about 4 or 5 degrees down. Through. Let's see what the computer tells us. Yeah, I'm 6 degrees, 6.1 degrees down. That's okay, okay? Because the one thing I'm going to do, and this is one of the biggest things, you know that I give most of my lessons on the golf course. And the biggest error is miss hits on the ball. Okay, and people then don't get the distance. They might take too much divot. By me doing that and making sure I'm connecting with the golf ball first, I'm always advancing the ball down the hole. So even if I don't get the distance absolutely perfect, I'm somewhere down there, okay? That's the important thing. That's the worst case scenario, I'm going to make a bogey. But if you're mishitting the ball, as I said, taking lots of divot, topping it, even if it goes worse in this position, you're trying to help it up, you catch off the toe, could be going sideways, straight away, you're losing probably a minimum of half a shot relative to where that ball would need to be to make the score that you want. And again, you can look at some of my lessons on the data to understand that. But everything about today is just getting to the practice ground. If you are somebody who tops it, takes lots of divot from behind the ball, if the computer gives you the data, see what you're doing. Is it an upward number, a positive number? That's what we don't want with an iron. We want a slightly negative number, okay? So again, playing off a really sandy lie here. If I get this wrong, it will show it up. But if I keep that weight as a mental picture as I'm there when I hit the ball, is now I can get that through, strike. That was I'm really happy with that strike. And again, we're around about that -5 angle of attack. We're getting that sensation that we're getting that strike that we want on the ball. So this is another one of my sort of videos that's showing you, if you're going to the practice ground, what you're looking to achieve, so you can see that improvement in your game as you're going around the golf course. And work on one thing at a time. Again, that's another one of my videos. A lot of you guys, you go there to get the perfect result, but if you're working on one thing at a time, it will come together actually a lot quicker. If you're trying to work on 10 things, it becomes that much harder. So today's lesson is about angle of attack. Understand you're hitting an iron, and again, remember, this is important to understand. We're talking about hitting an iron off the ground. It needs to be a negative number. Anywhere really, my numbers, I like to hit down a little bit more. I hit a slightly lower ball flight, that works for me. Probably at the higher number. I would say to you, want to be somewhere between 2 and 4 degrees would be lovely. As you saw, most of my numbers were near 5-6 degrees. But that's okay, because I've worked with that and I now know I can control that idea. But I'm always getting the strike on the ball first and then the divot after the golf ball. If you do this, you're going to get more consistent strikes, you're going to have a lot more fun, and you're going to start to control that golf ball a lot better. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, share this with your friends. If you have subscribed, press that little bell which gives you notifications about when you're going to get the next video. If you don't press that, my videos go out every Tuesday and Friday, and I look forward to seeing you soon.